level 1 examples for date and time functions. As you can see, these will be the functions I will be going over today. They're mainly what I would consider to be the most basic date and time functions, so they're classified as level 1. As you get down to level 5, it becomes much more complicated, and they're mainly formulas that you wouldn't use as much. So I figured I would start with level 1 to give the most basic introduction to date and time functions. The yellow selected cells, which are highlighted, those are where I'm going to be putting some initial functions which the other cells will likely be based off of. So first we'll be doing the today function, which inserts today's date. So the format for that is equals today, parentheses with nothing in it. Some formulas don't require anything to be written in the parentheses. The today function would be one of them, and you'll see it says today's date, which is September 18th. The now function is very similar to the today function, but it also includes the time. So if I do equals now with an empty parentheses, you'll see that it not only shows the date, but it shows the time as well. Now, using these two cells, we have information about today's date. If from that you wanted to extract additional information, and again this could be any date, it doesn't have to be today's date, it could be any date that you have stored in Excel, there are other functions which you can use to get additional information. So if you wanted to know which month is reflected in that today cell, you would put in equals month, and it requires what it says is a serial number, which means just a reference to the date. So I will click on cell C8 and it will tell me which month it is. So it's basically taking some information from the today function and extracting it. But this could be just a hard-coded date value, and you just want to find out what number month it is. Similarly with day, we will base all of these off of today so that it is obvious what we're doing, and that way you can figure out which day is reflected in the cell that you want to view. Year would be the same thing. And now I've broken up the today function results into the month, the day, and the year. And all of these could then be used separately if you wanted to, let's say, take the month of a large range of dates, and you insert a column and you do the month function, and that way you can see all of them that have a 9, and you would know that that is September. So instead of trying to look through many which may have different dates in September, you could use the month function to extract the month number from that information. The date function will take a month, a day, and a year, and it'll put it into the format of a date. So if I show you the date function here, you open up the parentheses, it says year, month, and day is what's required. And so since we've already extracted that from today, we'll basically rebuild it, but without using the today function. We'll use it based on the other cells that we've extracted data from. So year would be cell C12, comma, month, that is the correct one, C10, and then day. You close the parentheses, hit enter, and it'll show you the date as it should be shown, as a date format. And so if you have information extracted where you have the month and the day and the year, or if you only have a piece of it, you could grab parts of it and include your own information in the other areas. For example, if I wanted to show today's month and today's year but a different date, I could replace the day portion with whichever number I would like, let's say 24, as long as it fits within the calendar, and hit enter, and you'll see it shows 9/24. So it's useful for data manipulation related to dates specifically. But I just hit Control Z to undo that, so it's still showing today's date. For date value, you'll see it says next to it, converts a date in the form of text to a number that represents the date in Microsoft Excel date time code. So if we had it in the form of text and not as a date, we could then convert it to Excel's date format. So here this would normally say what the date text would be. So if it was 9/18/2011, and I'm putting it in quotes because then that is text, not an actual date, you'll see the result is what Excel sees as the date value. And the date value just means the number of days that have passed since January 1st, 1900. So if you have a 0 value, it would show 1/1/1900. Instead of using what I typed in as today's date, I could instead do date value and base it off of the various portion that I extracted from today. So if I took month, add an ampersand, which an ampersand concatenates things, so it takes whatever you're about to put together and combines them. So I want 9, and I include an ampersand, and then I want a slash, so within quotes I put a slash, so that right there would give me 9 slash, include another ampersand, click the day, again we'll use ampersand, quote, slash, quote, another ampersand for the year. And so instead of typing it in text, and if you didn't have it in text, you could add it in a way that relies off of multiple different cells. And so that should give us the same result. And now you have a date value, and let's say you're looking at some information and you don't want to use the formatting to change how this looks, because right now it is formatted as general. If I changed it to date, it would show me the date. But I want to keep it as a value so that we know how Excel views dates. If you then wanted to take, let's say, today's date, and you wanted to write it out as an actual string of characters, like September 18th, 2011, you could use the text function. And so the text function, it says it converts a value to text in a specific number format. So if I wanted to take today's date, and the format has to be displayed in quotes, so you won't know this unless you've done it before, but if you type in capital M with multiple M's following it, I'm not sure exactly how many you need, but once you put in enough to cover the length of text that a month would be, it should be fine. We'll put a space. DD would be the days, and you want to have 2 because then it will show 04 or 18 as numbers for the date. And after that we'll hit a space, YYYY, and end the quotes and end the parentheses. And you'll see it says September 18th, 2011. So if you wanted to take a whole range of dates, if you had a long list of dates that were displayed in a certain manner and you couldn't use the formatting to fix it, you could use the text function to then redisplay it in whatever way you'd like. I can change that to be only 3 M's, and you'll see that it says Sep 18, 2011. So the text function is extremely useful in taking information and displaying it in a different manner. And you could just change it to say month only. And so there are many options, and you can play around with it and see what you'd like it to say. So I'll keep it as it was before, and it shows the full date. Using the now function, which we have above, and you'll see that it keeps updating the time as we progress, you can extract information from that just like we did with the date, except it's based on the time. So you could take the hour, and it'll extract the hour. If you take the minute and point to the cell which has now in it, it will tell you which minute it is. If you wanted the second, you point to now as well. And these don't have to be based off of now, but since I've shown you that function, since the information is there, we'll grab it. If you had time showed in a different way, you can still grab the hour and minute and second from these in whatever way you'd like. Just like we did with the date, where you can break apart today and reformulate it here using what you've extracted, we can use the time function, which requires hour, minute, second. So I will select this, hour, comma, minute, comma, second, and parentheses, hit enter, and you'll see that it tells me what time it is. And depending on how you format things, it could show it to you as general time with PM, or it could show you in military time. There are many different formatting options. For time value, before I hit it, shows converts a text time to an Excel serial number for a time. Basically, it gives you a percentage, which is what portion of the 24-hour period this time is. And that's how Excel views time, as a decimal, which is applied to a 24-hour period, which tells you where you are in it. So if you were at noon, that would be 50%. So we will take time text, and this was not in the form of text. So what I'm going to have to do is instead add the hour, use my ampersand, quote, colon, quote, ampersand, minute, then also add in another colon, an ampersand for second. And so now what I've put here is actually a text version of what the time is, and therefore it should give me the percentage. And so 9:09 p.m. is 88.14% of the way through a normal day, with 11:59 being the end of the day. You could also use the text function again similarly to take what you have in the now area. Actually, the way I'll do it is similar to how I did it for the text above. So it'll be F10 ampersand quote colon quote ampersand 11. Just repeating what I did for the last one to make it a text value. And then the format of the text that I want it to display. So how do I want it to show? You see above it did 9:09 p.m. in that format automatically, but if I wanted to show it as hour, minute, second, and remember the format has to be in quotes, you'll see that it then displays it with the hour, minutes, and seconds. And you can change many of these using different formatting to show it in different ways, but this is at least trying to explain how these specific functions work. And if you play around with them, you can get many different results, and especially with dates that are in formats which might not be as usable before, you can take that information, extract it, and redisplay it in many different ways which could suit your needs. So I hope this first lesson was helpful, and you should check out the Excel Master Lesson spreadsheet, which has all of these examples in it, and you can see exactly how they are formulated, as well as play around with them yourselves. So, thank you, and I will see you next time.